Hello, ghouls, and welcome to Brave the Basement. I'm your host, Ghoul That Rules.
I'm your co-host, Black One Jack 2.
If you enjoy getting a little scared, ghost stories, haunted houses, a believer in the supernatural, or maybe even a skeptic wanting to look at things from a different perspective, then this is the show for you. Today's episode is sponsored by Ed's Barbershop. Ed's Barbershop is located at 210 Lane Street, North Judson, Indiana. So if you enjoy getting your hair cut from a hometown barber with that old-fashioned feel, then dial 574-896-3344 and schedule your appointment today. Hey, Blackjack, how's it going?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited about today's episode. And like always, guys, what are we talking about today?
It is very funny that you asked me that question because I knew you would.
Yep.
And you suggested maybe doing a question mark episode where not even our audience would know at the time that the episode's posted.
Oh, this is that episode?
But there's a little twist to it, Blackjack.
Oh.
Okay, so there is an overall theme to the episode. Okay? And so I want you, Blackjack,
Me?
to connect with me mentally.
I'm putting my hands. You guys can't see it, but I'm putting my hands on my head, and we're connecting.
Okay, and I'm going to tell you, using my mind, what today's episode is about. You ready? Here goes.
Yep.
What is it, Blackjack?
I still have no clue.
So, even though I mentally told you with my mind, and that should have been a big hint with this episode.
Oh, is this like mind reading?
Kind of. This is all about being psychic.
Psychics.
Yeah, so I was trying to tell Blackjack with my mind what today's episode is. And to add a little bit of fun to this episode, we're going to be testing Blackjack's psychic abilities.
Oh, God.
Okay, but first, so I did a little research myself, and then I'll tell you some psychic abilities that I have. Maybe this has sparked Blackjack into understanding that even he has some psychic abilities, because it is my belief that everybody has some sort of psychic ability. But first, before we get into all that, I want to tell everybody what types of psychic abilities there are. There is precognition. Have you ever heard of this, Blackjack?
No.
So precognition is the ability to see into the future. Experiments conducted by the parapsychologically laboratory at Duke University show that the human mind has the ability to predict outcomes of events based on certain circumstances. There is retrocognition. Retrocognition is the ability to see into the distant past. It can be as simple as recognizing a person or place, like what happens in deja vu. People with retrocognition may also be able to recall details of past events. Then there's clairvoyance. Clairvoyance is the ability to see things that are happening to someone else. This is how psychics are able to access information about the past, present, and future. Telepathy is similar to clairvoyance, except it relates to reading another person's thoughts, which Blackjack absolutely failed.
We can mark that one off the list.
Telepaths are often strong enough to communicate with others using their mind. Clairaudience. Clairaudience is the ability to hear the events that are happening to someone else. Typically, this ability is strongest during meditation, though information can be gathered from a number of environments. Clairsentience. Clairsentience is when someone perceives a feeling through their body. People with this ability can usually tune into other people and places through vibrations and auras. And the final one is mediumship. Mediums can communicate with the dead by channeling their spirits. Most mediums have several types of ESP that allow them to access information, such as clairvoyance and clairaudience.
Yeah, the last one, we ain't doing that one.
Not doing that, but I am going to talk about that one a little bit. So, precognition, like I said, is the ability to see into the future. So, Blackjack, this is your first test, because you didn't know you were being tested the first time. So, this is your first test, and it's going to be one that everybody who's listening to this episode will gauge, because we won't know by the end of this episode whether or not you are correct. So I want you to close your eyes, Blackjack.
Okay, my eyes are closed.
And if you're listening at home, you could follow along with this one. And I want you to think and predict what next week's episode will be. I'll give you a moment to go ahead and concentrate.
Oh, one question. So, is there like any hints, or I have to totally figure it out?
You got to totally figure this one out on your own. I want you to look into the future and tell us what next week's episode. It doesn't have to be exact as long as you're close.
Let me do some like weird stuff. Nope, I got nothing.
Okay, but you got to take a guess. That way
Okay.
everyone at home can.
Some haunted mansion.
A haunted mansion, some type of haunted house, haunted mansion is Blackjack's prediction for next week. You will have to tune in next week to find out if Blackjack is correct. So moving on, Blackjack, and I'm trying to go through here and see. Okay, we're gonna go do telepathy again. Okay, so if everyone at home, just give me a second here because I don't have them in my hands. I happen to have a deck of cards.
Yes.
You see the deck of cards, Blackjack?
Yes.
Okay. So you're going to have to step away from your microphone just for a second.
Okay, hang on. Just bear with us, guys.
Okay, so Blackjack's coming over here. I am shuffling the cards.
Do you want me not to look?
I don't want you to look. But you could simply close your eyes. So turn around here. Okay? And you're going to pick a card. Pick a card, any card. Okay. Do not look at the card. Give me the card. Okay. Only I will know what the card is. Go ahead, have a seat.
Oh. Bear with us, guys.
Okay. So I am looking. Well, you're seeing. Well, you know it's not the 9 of hearts because that's the side I'm showing you because I got the card on top facing me. Okay, so we're gonna try this again, Blackjack, and I want you to really concentrate this time. What card did you pick?
The King of Spades.
The King of Spades. You said that really, really quick.
Yeah.
Is gut feeling?
It's gut feeling. Yeah. King of Spades.
So it's a gut feeling. It's not. You're not hearing it from my mind.
No, it's the King.
Okay. Whoops. It is the Ace of Diamonds.
Oh, okay. Yep. Nope.
So you totally failed
the one test.
in the telepathy. So we tried it at the beginning that you didn't even know what was going on. Now that you knew what was going on and you had a 1 in 52 chance, you still failed.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so moving on, retrocognition. So in case you forgot, retrocognition is the ability to see into the distant past. Okay? So I am going, and this is kind of a, we're the only ones in the room, so there's no one else around. So you're going to have to feed into me, and I'm going to try to help you with my mind as well. But I want you not to really read my mind, and I know this is not very scientific, but it's all we got. And I want you to tell me something about me from my past and see if you can connect to the one thing that I'm trying to get out there with my aura about myself.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so do I just look at you?
Whatever you think you need to do, Blackjack, whatever you feel is going to give you this information, you can
Pat
use
you on the head,
your telepathy, you could use your retrocognition, whatever ability you feel you have to use.
Okay, I'm still kind of confused on what I'm supposed to do. I think I'm just supposed to talk about your past.
Just one thing about my past. And I'm going to try to give it to you through my mind, but I want you to feed off my aura and use your retrocognition ability to tell me this one thing.
That you're trying to get everyone across.
Yep, that I'm trying to get. It's something about me, and I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
It's an ability that I had.
To read the future?
No. Nothing psychic.
Nothing-
It's not a psychic ability that I had.
Super jump?
That was pretty good, Blackjack. I was able to dunk a basketball in 8th grade. And I am not even 6 foot tall. How'd you know that, Blackjack?
Well, I've known you for a long time, and we talk, and I just know you played a little bit of basketball, and you always talked about how good you were jumping, and then
Okay, so here's the question. And this is where a lot of people get confused. Did you use telepathy? Did you use retrocognition or conductive reasoning?
the last one.
The last one. So conductive reasoning is not to be confused with ESP and psychic abilities. I've had a lot of predictions, and I've had a lot of successes and a lot of fails. And I never really tried to use psychic ability to predict. And they were always stupid predictions, such as who's going to win a Super Bowl, or who's going to win this sporting event, or who's going to win this professional MMA fight or boxing match, or whatever it is. And we all make these predictions, and they're fun to make. And, you know, you could bet on these things, and I got a feeling that it's this, and I got a feeling that it's that. But that's called conductive reasoning, not necessarily psychic ability. So moving on, Blackjack. I'm trying to see if there's anything we could test just right here, me and you, in the room. Clairvoyance, to see things happening to someone else. We really don't have a way for you to prove whether or not you're right or wrong on that one. Clairaudience would be the same thing. One I do want to talk about, though, is clairsentience. And in case you forgot what that is, I'll read this again to you. Clairsentience is when someone perceives a feeling throughout their body. People with this ability can usually tune into other people and places through vibrations and auras.
Let me try it.
This is about the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
I tried, guys. I could not feel anything.
So, and the description is very, very vague. I think we've all experienced this at one time or another without even realizing it. Have you ever met somebody new and you got a good or bad feeling about them just right off?
Oh, yeah. It's human nature.
Okay, how many times was that feeling correct?
Most of the time.
Most of the time. You just had a... What if that person that you met didn't say or do or act in any way whatsoever outside of a normal, hey, my name's Joe, nice to meet you. And you have that feeling immediately. And he looks just like anyone else, right? I mean, there's nothing special about the person. And you've still had these kind of feelings before, right?
Well, depending on if these are good or bad feelings.
Okay, so would you say that you're kind of reading their aura?
I mean, I guess.
Have you ever been wrong?
No, like, sometimes, like, sure, I'm human, but, like, usually I can get those right.
So that is an interesting study, and I feel the same way Blackjack does. You know, I've met people, I'm like, yeah, I don't really know about this person, and they turn out to be really cool people. And then, you know, a lot of times I've met people, it's like, you know, something about this guy, I just don't trust him, and he turns out to kind of be a slime bag. So, but most of the time, I seems like in my perception that I've been more correct than I have wrong in that situation.
Same here.
So is that just a human just automatically judging somebody just because we're human? Or is this some kind of psychic ability that we kind of barely scratched the surface on our own ability?
It's just a good question, because I really don't know.
And so, you know, and that brings up the question, because I believe that everyone has psychic abilities. And some people are just really strong in their psychic abilities and learn how to hone in those skills, where a lot of us will pass things off as just a coincidence. And sometimes it is just a coincidence. And I think that's what makes it tough, is you're not exactly sure what is the coincidence. And what is an honest-to-God psychic ability? At the beginning of this episode, I said that I would tell you what I feel are some psychic abilities that I have. And trust me, they're not exciting. Back when I was in school, I would have dreams, and these would happen often, that some kid who I knew, I would know this person, and it wasn't always the same kid either, so this happened to me a lot. And they would come to school wearing a certain type of shirt, a shirt I've never seen them in. For instance, I would dream that this kid would come into class wearing a Chicago Bulls shirt. And the next day, he would come in wearing a Chicago Bulls shirt. And you're like, oh, well, that's real exciting because this was the 90s. You know, the Bulls and Michael Jordan were kind of in their heyday. But I'd never seen this person in a Chicago Bulls shirt, nor have I ever heard them talk about the Chicago Bulls. So how did my mind predict in a dream that they would wear a Chicago Bulls shirt?
Maybe that your psychic is not in predicting whether this person is going to wear the shirt. It's the dream itself. If you kind of get what I'm going at.
Not really, Blackjack. You lost me on that one.
So what you say is that, okay, sure, I had this dream, but I have the power to tell what people are going to wear.
Isn't that about the most ridiculous power ever?
Yeah, but here's that could be like the power in its works. Maybe it's not telling when people or what they're going to wear. It's going to be what's in your dream is going to happen in reality, not what people wear.
But that's what I took away from the dream, is the weird thing. And so the next thing I'll tell you about, I do have some bit of an ability. If I walk into a home that I've never been in and that home is haunted, I can feel it. I can't hone in on that skill. I can't give you details. I just know something in that house is not right. So them are the psychic abilities that I've noticed about myself. Blackjack, have you noticed anything about yourself?
I don't really know if this would be technically a psychic ability, but usually when people are talking in a crowd, so let's say you're in a room, you have at least 20 people, all in their own separate groups. I have like this feeling when I know what I'm being talked about. Even though I may not can hear the words clearly or anything, but I have this feeling, oh my gosh, these people over here are talking about me.
That's pretty interesting, Blackjack, even though you're not hearing it.
Yeah, and I'm also like, it's weird. I know this ain't a psychic ability, but I can also read people very well. Emotionally, just how by they walk in. Now, I know that's like human nature, but I could do it on very quick, and I usually, in my head, always know usually what's going on.
So you know kind of where you stand with that person, whether that person likes
Yes.
you, whether they don't like you, or they're a good person. So you could feel their aura in a sense.
Kind of. I mean, if I like totally don't know the person and they're mad, I could tell they're mad. But if there's someone I know, and let's say I'm in a group of friends in that same room, all right? Someone's mad at someone, so I know only a little portion. I can usually, even though I know what's not going on, I can know what's going on. You know what? If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting, Blackjack. But you failed all of our really scientific. I'm doing the quotation marks in the air on the scientific portion of this. Our scientific exercises that we did today. That's totally not scientific. It was just for fun, and that's pretty interesting, Blackjack. I did not know that. So, like I said earlier, I believe everyone has some sort of psychic ability. Whether or not you could tune into it and get better and grow in that ability, that's something you'd have to research yourself and kind of see where you think you feel you are with psychic ability.
I'm going to be honest really quick. I kind of have my own name a little for it. I call it like having good eyes. That's what usually I just call it because I can just read people just like that. It's
Well-
like perception or whatever it is.
Well, it's interesting that you said, what good eyes, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people refer to a psychic ability as a sixth sense because we have 5 senses. And, the psychic abilities go into a sixth sense, one that, is just not the common 5. But I briefly talked about it. And I left this one for the end on purpose, and that's to talk about
The dead?
Psychic mediums. So not that I don't disagree that there are psychic mediums who can talk to dead, because I do believe that. I think what kind of puts a black eye on people who really have this ability are these bozos that we see on TV, right? And so I'm specifically thinking about Sylvia Browne. And so Sylvia Browne, for those who don't know, was a world-famous psychic medium, and she was always on the Montel Williams TV show. And do you remember the story of Amanda Berry?
No.
Okay. I was eating my McDonald's. Does that ring a bell?
I was eating my McDonald's.
I was just eating my McDonald's. A guy was walking down the road, had McDonald's, heard someone banging on the door, went up to the door, and there was a girl, and she said, I'm Amanda Berry. I've been held captive.
Yeah, I remember that.
You remember that? So it was a huge story. I don't even remember how many years this girl was held captive and sexually abused, and she wasn't the only girl. There was other girls in the house as well, and this man kidnapped her and sexually abused her. She even had children with this man. She wasn't allowed to leave the house, and she ends up found. Well, a couple years before she was discovered, her mother went on the Montel Williams show to ask Sylvia Browne where her daughter was. And Sylvia Browne said that she's in water and she's dead. And the unfortunate thing is Amanda Berry's mother passed away before Amanda Berry was ever found. So she went to her grave thinking that her daughter was gone when in fact she was alive. And this made a lot of people upset.
That's just sad.
It is very sad. And so next person I want to talk about is John Edwards. Because he's got and it's kind of caught on. So what he'll do is he'll get out in front of an audience. And, maybe there's 200 people in the room. Now, mind you, if you're going to see John Edwards, you probably had someone in your family pass away that you would like to connect with, right? So chances are pretty good that people are there to connect with someone who's passed away. So he knows that going into the show. And he'll stand up and he'll say, okay, I'm seeing a man, and his first letter of his name is an M. Has anyone here had anyone in their family pass away who's a man with the letter M? How many people out of 200 and 300 people had guy pass away in their family with the letter M?
At least someone.
Somebody, right? So it's like shooting fish in a barrel. He's going to latch on. And the funny thing about it is how quick he moves on if he doesn't get a hit. So, and then he'll move to a different letter, and he goes on. But I did see him one time agree to be evaluated with his abilities. And in this evaluation, he had to do blind reads. So he couldn't even see the person. The person was in the next room. And they were able to talk, through a microphone. And he would try to give his psychic reading to this person he can't even see. So he can't read them at all. And this one girl walks in. And John Edwards, who has not seen her, did make a comment. And it stuck with me. He said, hey, I don't remember who he's referring to in her family that passed away. But he's like, this family member would like you to know that you look very pretty in pink. And she was wearing a pink outfit. So it was like a slam dunk. So it makes you wonder, someone like John Edwards, man, because I mean, you could see right through some of his shenanigans, but how did he nail that one?
Coincidence. That is just too hard to explain. It just.
So what really struck me was, A, he had to know that this was a lady coming in who he couldn't see, that she was wearing pink. He had to pick that moment to pull that one out of the hat to say, okay, I'm going to go for what clothes you're wearing. And the very coincidental that it happened to be a woman who happened to be wearing pink, and he actually used that technique at that moment, right? And if he would have failed at that technique in that moment, he just would have been exposed as a fraud automatically, right? I mean, that would have been his whole career. Career's over. And so that's what I went away watching. I don't remember what show it was, unfortunately. Thinking about was, how did he do that? Does he have some sort of psychic ability?
Or is it just for show?
Or is it just for
but
show?
But if you think about the coincidence, it's 1 in what? How many people are on there? 7 billion people?
I don't even know. There's a lot.
1 in 7. What's it say? 1 in 7 billion people. She had how many colors there are? I don't even know how many colors there are. 1 in whatever colors. You know how insane that is?
Well, yeah, but to even know if it was male or female on top of it.
That's 50% right there.
Because I can guarantee you, if I pulled over, if I went out to the highway and pulled over 10 cars with a guy driving, not one of them guys will be wearing pink unless it's the month of October, because it is Breast Awareness Month.
Yes.
He's probably not going to be wearing pink, and I would put money on it right now. Blackjack, $10 says, I'll stop 10 guys on the highway, not one of them will be wearing pink.
Unless we do this in October.
Well, if you did this in October, yeah, it's not fair. So, again, I don't know where to stand with someone like John Edwards. And there's been other people, and I can't remember all their names, because I kind of quit listening to these people once I kind of got over the whole shock of them nailing these readings. And then, you know, when you watch it with an open mind, you could say, he's just really good at reading people, right? Sylvia Brown, I think that, you know, she was just an absolute phony. And that's probably going to upset some people, but that whole Amanda Berry thing, that kind of put me over. You know, because that poor girl's mother passed away thinking that her daughter was murdered. And luckily, she was rescued. And it was a pretty big news story. So it's one that kind of unfolded in front of the whole world, you know, for the whole world to see. So what do you think, Blackjack, after today's episode? Do you think that psychic abilities are real? Are they coincidences? What is your take?
I mean, I want to say a toss up to both.
So you think you think that a lot of people get lucky and coincidental, and there may be some psychic ability in there?
Yes.
So if you'd like to become a Brave the Basement Ghoul, be sure to share this show on social media. Go to bravethebasement.weebly.com and sign up for our newsletter to get all the latest news and updates when each episode has been posted. If you have a ghost story you would like to share, you could reach us at bravethebasement@gmail.com. Your story can make it on the show and be featured on the website. You can also submit your story on Reddit under the subreddit Brave the Basement or in the YouTube comment section. If you have an eerie ghost photo you would like to share, please email us and include a description, and your photo could be added to our photo gallery. And just for today's episode, if you have a psychic prediction or have had a psychic prediction or any kind of psychic type experiences, send us an email. We'd love to hear it. And that brings us to the end. We hope that we brought you just a little fright. And remember, when you were up late at night and you hear something in the other room that just doesn't seem right, it's okay if you need to turn on the light to protect yourself from things that go bump in the night. I'm your host, Ghoul That Rules.
I'm your co-host, Black One Jack 2.
And I hope you join us again. Till next time.